March 15th, 2026. The United States military was active in different capacities across 7 countries simultaneously: Iran, Venezuela, Nigeria, and 4 others you probably never heard about on the news that week. The jets were in the air, the ships were at sea, the strategists were in the rooms, and Washington's full attention was on all of it. But 10,000 miles away, in a city most people only know from one dark moment in history, there was a very different sound. Not jets, not weapons, just a quiet, constant hum. The hum of something being built. And if the numbers coming out of that city are real, by the time America looked up from the map, the future may already belong to someone else. The strategic distraction. To understand how a country can move ahead without firing a single shot, you have to look at where attention goes. In 2026, the United States still operates the most powerful military on Earth. But maintaining that position isn't passive. It requires constant involvement, security partnerships, advisory missions, regional stabilization. Think about what that actually looks like in practice. Teams of analysts tracking developments across multiple continents, military planners coordinating logistics across time zones, diplomats working to maintain fragile alliances. None of this is simple, and none of it is short-term. Now here's the part most people miss. All of that activity consumes something incredibly valuable: focus. It's like running a company where the entire leadership team is constantly putting out fires. You might survive, you might even win the fights in front of you, but you are not building the future. And while the United States manages the conflicts of today, China has been doing exactly that. Not chasing influence, not short-term outcomes. Infrastructure, the kind that compounds quietly over time. The city most people misunderstand. To much of the world, Wuhan became known for one moment in history, a pandemic. But inside China's technology ecosystem, it represents something completely different. Wuhan is home to one of China's most important technology clusters, often called Optics Valley. And what's happening there is easy to miss because it doesn't look dramatic. No headlines, no breaking news alerts, just labs, engineers, and long-term experimentation. When the United States restricted access to advanced chips, many assumed China's progress would slow.
China is criticizing the U.S. over its decision to tighten export controls that would target Chinese chip manufacturers. The restrictions will limit Chinese companies' access to advanced computer chips and slow their progress in artificial intelligence.
Instead, engineers in Wuhan asked a different question. What if we don't need the most powerful chip? What if we connect thousands of smaller ones and make them work together like a single system? Here's a simple way to think about it. One genius working alone in a room can do remarkable work. But 10,000 smart people who can communicate instantly can often solve problems that genius never could. That's the idea behind what Wuhan built. Instead of sending signals through wires using electricity, they began using light. And that one shift changes everything. Because when you move information at the speed of light, you can coordinate thousands of machines simultaneously. They behave like a single unified system. And that is why a Chinese startup called DeepSeek was able to do something that genuinely shocked the technology world. They trained a world-class AI model for approximately $294,000, while Western labs were spending hundreds of millions. Not because they had better chips, but because they built a smarter, faster system. The factory shift. Now let's take this one step further. Because AI on its own doesn't change the world, it needs something to act through. That's where robots come in. If AI is the brain, Robots are the hands, and right now, there is a striking difference in how the US and China are approaching this. In the United States, robotics development is focused on capability. Companies like Tesla and Boston Dynamics are building machines that can do almost anything a human can do. These are extraordinary systems, but they are expensive, and they take time to perfect. China is making a completely different bet. Instead of building one perfect robot, they are deploying thousands of useful ones. Machines that can already operate on factory floors today, pick up objects, move materials, perform repetitive tasks at scale. And they don't need to be perfect, they just need to work. Think of it this way. One strategy builds the best possible worker. The other builds a million workers that are good enough. Over time, which one scales faster? The numbers already tell the story. In 2025, Chinese companies shipped over 13,000 humanoid robots. During that same period, American companies shipped almost none at scale. China now leads the world in robot density. 470 robots for every 10,000 workers. The United States sits at 197, ranked 10th in the world. Automation in China isn't a future concept. It is already deployed and already compounding. The efficiency advantage. Now let's talk about the part of this story that surprises most people, because we tend to assume the AI race is about who builds the biggest model, the most powerful system. But there is another way to compete entirely: efficiency. Instead of asking, how do we build the most powerful AI? China asked, how do we make AI cheaper, smaller, and easier for everyone to use? Think about your phone. The most powerful computer in the world is useless if only a handful of organizations can afford to run it. But a slightly less powerful system, that a factory in Vietnam, a supply chain in Brazil, or a school in Nigeria can access, changes everything. That is the direction China has been pushing, making AI systems that are easier to deploy, easier to run, easier to scale across an entire economy. And when something becomes cheap enough, it spreads faster than anyone can track. Factories adopt it, industries shift, entire regions of the global economy reorganize around it. Meanwhile, the United States is taking the opposite approach. Build systems so powerful that no one else can match them. That is what Project Stargate represents. A $500 billion joint venture between the US government, OpenAI, and SoftBank. The bet is dominance through raw scale. But that approach runs directly into one unavoidable physical constraint: power. The real bottleneck. Because at the end of the day, all of this runs on electricity. AI doesn't just need software, it needs energy. A lot of it. Training a single large model can consume as much power as a small town for weeks. Running it continuously around the clock requires even more. And this is where the gap becomes impossible to ignore. In 2025, China added more new solar capacity to its grid than the entire rest of the world combined.
One country has crossed 1,000 gigawatts of solar power. China has officially become the first country in the world to cross 1,000 gigawatt of installed solar capacity in 2025.
They are currently building 22 nuclear reactors simultaneously. The United States is struggling to complete a single one. China has been treating energy the way it treats AI, not as an afterthought, but as a core strategic priority. The result is what analysts are beginning to call a closed loop: AI compute in Wuhan, robot factories in Hangzhou, the energy infrastructure to power all of it, a self-sustaining system that doesn't depend on anyone else to keep running. Meanwhile, the United States is still working through an aging grid built for a different era. Not a gap in intelligence, a gap in capacity. Because even the most powerful technology in the world still needs to be plugged in. the quiet race. So what we're really looking at is two fundamentally different strategies. The United States is building the most powerful tools. China is building the system those tools run on. One is focused on peak performance, the other is focused on scale. And here's what makes this race different from any that came before it. These strategies don't compete in obvious ways. There is no single moment, no declaration, no headline that says the shift has happened. Because one strategy wins in moments, the other wins over time, quietly, consistently, without anyone noticing until it's already done. And if that infrastructure continues to expand in the background, while America's attention remains on the conflicts of today, by the time the shift becomes visible, it may already be too late to close the gap. Once again, it has been a pleasure, and I encourage you to keep an eye on the continued developments in China. I bid you farewell until next time on Foundry Matters.